Let's talk about the pelvis. The pelvis is your sexual center. Basically, it is your center of creativity, of pleasure, of movement, of alignment, of grounding. In some ways, it's the core of the body. And a lot of people have very little consciousness of this area. They actually retract their consciousness from this area. And this leads to all kinds of imbalances in alignment of the pelvis, not to mention pelvic floor issues, hormonal issues, low libido, premature ejaculation, muscular imbalances, postural imbalances, back issues, knee pain. The list goes on and on and on. So the pelvis is actually a really important area, but I don't see a lot of people talking about this and the importance of really connecting with the pelvis, stabilizing, balancing the pelvis, and the implications that has on your health, your sexual pleasure, your ability to move freely without pain, without restriction, all kinds of things. We're gonna go deep into the pelvis in this video, so stick around. I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so that you can manifest your ideal life. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe to support the channel and get your free ejaculation control course through the link in the video description. So there's not a lot of people talking about pelvic health and balancing the pelvis. There's a lot of older people talking about it, like a lot of old ladies with incontinent issues and things like that, because it's just not a very sexy thing for most people, even though this is the sex center. It's very, very sexy. The pelvis is very sexy. You're checking out pelvises every day, I bet. You know what I mean? But this is also an area where people experience imbalances that carry over into the rest of the body on many different levels. Number one, physical, postural imbalances, muscular imbalances that are kind of causing the pelvis to be twisted, which is pulling your spine out of alignment, it's pulling your shoulders out of alignment, it's pulling your neck out of alignment, your ankles, everything. Everything is coming from this area. And we could say emotionally, there's so much shame and trauma often stored in the pelvis because in our early years, our early experiences, exploring our bodies as children, there's so much shame, there's so much baggage around the genital area because of our conditioning for various reasons. At some point in history, humans decided to demonize one particular area of the body. You know what I mean? It's very interesting thinking about it objectively, but in reality, quite simply, people develop shame and trauma and embarrassment around this region of the body. And so this causes us to retract our consciousness from this area, to withhold our breath from this area, to withhold our feeling from this area, and to be kind of stuck up here, stuck up in our heads, a bunch of tight asses walking around from our shoulders, you know what I mean? And most people never resolve this shame, this withholding, this inability to connect with their sexuality. It leads to all kinds of emotional issues, inability to experience pleasure, inability to feel fulfilled sexually, inability to really own your sexuality, a lot of things. And we could even say spiritually, oh, this is where it really gets deep. Spiritually, a lot of people on the spiritual path are just up in their heads. They're just, oh yes, I have understanding of consciousness, I'm having all these blissful, mental experiences, but not being grounded in the body. Because when you're disconnected from here, this really aligns to, we could say energetically, the Dantian, the energy center in the lower body, which is all about your physical embodiment, your vitality, your hormonal health, your testosterone as a man, and your ability to walk in the physical world, to be able to bring your spiritual path, to bring the higher realms, and to anchor that down into the planet so you're able to, create in the world, walk around the world and create from that space. I know we're getting weird here, but it's what I do. This is something that I've dove deep into because I had to. Because about 5 years ago, I started having knee pain. I was experiencing knee pain in my Tai Chi practice. And after years and years of working with physical therapists, working with massage therapists, rolfers, acupuncturists, you name it, I tried it, and getting some relief. But ultimately what it came down to was I had imbalances in my body. And on the most superficial level, certain muscle groups were stronger than others. The center of it seemed to be my adductor, my inner thigh muscle, spreading tension to the psoas, locking up that region, locking up the quads, becoming very quad dominant in my right leg without proper glute activation. My butt muscles weren't working properly. And it was pulling everything over here, twisting my pelvis, right hips raised up, twisted in, causing my spine to be out of balance, causing one of my shoulders to be raised up, and all kinds of shit. And I was experiencing that as knee pain, which is probably one of the first manifestations of what could have become much more, debilitating physical issues further down the road in life. But fortunately, I like to meet things head on. So after all this journey, I discovered, I have these imbalances. But to go a level deeper than that, I think at an energetic level, my consciousness was not properly occupying this lower region of my body, my pelvic region and the surrounding, we could say, muscle, fascia, tissue groups. And interestingly, in Chinese medicine, I'm wood dominant, wood element dominant. I've got a lot of liver qi, very expansive wood energy. Interestingly, along the liver meridian is where I'm the most active with my muscles. Those tend to be the areas of the body that are dominant. So what I've had to do is to bring more consciousness into engaging my posterior chain, my glutes, my lower back, making that all connect properly. And I know this may sound like physiologically boring right now, but what I'm getting to is that basically bringing more awareness into my pelvis and into how my pelvis was sitting, what alignment I was holding within it, had a dramatic impact on my physical exercises, my Tai Chi, my Qigong, my martial arts, my weightlifting. Everything got better because I learned how to occupy the space on my body. And here's the thing that may interest a lot of you, pelvic floor issues. Pelvic floor tension is often very much related to this imbalance of muscle groups, because what's happening, for example, is my glutes were not stabilizing the way they should have been. And so my pelvic floor was taking on some of that role as a stabilizer muscle, which it is not meant to be at that level. The pelvic floor is not supposed to hold your posture in place 100% anyway. It works in coordination with the surrounding muscle groups. So when one muscle tissue chain is, we could say, deficient, the other ones tend to become overly active, overly engaged. And what that results in is stiffness in the hips, stiffness in the knees, stiffness in the ankles, back issues, for me, even like up into my scapula and like my neck. And again, once I learned how to correct my pelvic alignment, occupy my pelvis properly, all of this stuff started clearing up. And I started experiencing better blood flow in the genitals, a better release in my pelvic floor for amazing ejaculation control, better sexual libido. Nothing improves my libido better than simply having my awareness occupied within my sexual center, within the pelvic area, the lower belly, lower abdomen, because this is the center of Jing in Chinese medicine. This is the center of vitality and sexual desire. And when your consciousness is just up in your head and your upper body, the phrase is yi dao, qi dao. Basically, where the mind goes, the qi goes. And where the qi goes, the blood flows. So when your mind is not in your lower body, it's up here, you don't get blood flow. You get stiff. And as I've been teaching people qigong and different exercises over the past several years, I see a very common thing of strong imbalances in the hips. People don't know how to properly hold their hips in place. Anterior pelvic tilt is a very common condition where the pelvis is kind of tilted forwards, excessively arched lower back. This also relates to the forward curvature of the neck, the tech neck, and this tends to make premature ejaculation worse. It tends to make your sympathetic nervous system more dominant, so you feel stimulated, agitated, nervous, and anxiety ridden all the time. The list goes on and on. And here's another interesting tidbit. The pelvic bone, your pelvis, it's a major bone. The bones contain bone marrow, and the bone marrow produces stem cells. It produces blood cells, and basically is one of the originating areas of hormonal production. And the pelvic bone specifically produces more stem cells, produces more bone marrow, I believe, I could be wrong on that specific point, than other areas of the body. So the more you can bring your awareness into this area and stabilize it, make it healthy, the better your body functions on a biomechanical level, the more grounded your consciousness is. Because one of the problems when you have anxiety, when you're stressed out all the time, you have this rising energy. You're stuck up in your chest, heat up in the chest, up in the heart space, up in the head. You feel frustrated, angry, headaches, stressed out. When you can drop that heat to where it's supposed to be in your lower body to warm up the sexual region, the sexual waters, you experience tremendous sexual vitality. So getting more into your hips and into your pelvis is dramatically beneficial. And another interesting point is that one of the most important lessons I learned in sexual kung fu was to move the hips. Move the hips. Ooh, circle those hips. Tilt those hips, move them. In modern civilization, we've forgotten how to move our hips. We spend so much time sitting down, the hips get locked up. We can't move the hips. And for men, this results in an improper function of the pelvic spinal circuit, which is to be a pump for sexual energy, a pump for sexual pleasure, for sensation and hormones through the body, a pump, so that your whole body holds sexual pleasure. And on a more chemical level, the transformation of raw physical sexual desire and the essence of the sexual fluids, transmutation into higher consciousness, higher connection to the universe, a higher state of being, basically. So what this looks like is men stuck stiff in their chairs, masturbating, and they can't hold much sexual pleasure because it's just stuck. It's just stuck in the genitals. This is meant to be integrated into the pelvic sacral region and then move up the spine. So this is an important part. So basically, bringing more awareness into your pelvis, into this region of the body, equals heightened sexual health. And when I say pelvis, I'm not just talking about the pelvic floor. I mean the whole region. The sacrum area specifically is a hot zone for sexual vitality. There's so many acupoints here that relate to sexual health and vitality. Once I started really connecting with and massaging my sacral area every day, my sexual libido and my sexual pleasure improved dramatically. So what do I mean by bringing more awareness? I mean simply bringing your mind into this region, feeling it, filling it with your mind. Instead of being in your head, thinking about this and that and looking at a screen, feel your body. Bring your energy back into your body. Amazing for your health. So simple, so simple. The Tao is simple. Humans make things complicated. But besides that, mobilizing your pelvis, moving it, dancing, moving your pelvis around, doing pelvic floor stretches, breathing. Proper breathing moves the lower diaphragm, which is the pelvic floor. So bringing your breath back into your pelvis and your pelvic floor, which again, most people retract the breath out of there. Once you start to, throughout the day, breathe into that lower region, feel your awareness down there, feel it with your mind, feel that area. You're going to reconnect with it, and you're going to be amazed at how much it steps you back into your creativity. You feel much more grounded and calm. You connect more with your sensuality, the human sexual organism that we are. So every morning, one of the things I've been doing is I'll lie on the floor with my feet on the ground and my knees upwards, and I'll just bring my awareness into my pelvis. I'll just start breathing into it and just move it around, just move it. Feel every little movement of the tissues in there. Just lay like my back on the ground, my mind in the pelvis, just breathing, moving, feeling it. And it's an amazing way to start the day. It's also something I do before bed because again, just the more you start to feel into this area, the more aware of it you become, and that awareness starts to grow. So balancing out the pelvis, learning to build the right postural muscle engagement to stabilize the hips, to stabilize your pelvis is one of the best things you can do because most people's pelvises are jacked up from sitting down all day, from stress. Most people don't walk properly, let alone run. You ever see runners where they're like, just have horrible form and they're just like, every time they run, they're just like hurting their body, you know what I mean? So this will help prevent that. So what I recommend that you do, if you're like I was, where you're having like certain body alignment issues, physical pains, that's probably stemming from your pelvic alignment. Usually knee issues are actually coming from the pelvis to foot connection, and it's not actually caused by what's happening within the knee itself. That's how it was for me. And it's for many people as well. I recommend you look up hip stabilizing exercises because you want to learn, for most people, you need to learn how to engage the posterior chain muscle groups properly, get in your glutes more, activate your core muscles, your abdominal muscles, your lower back, your spinal erectors in the proper way. And just go in front of a mirror and look at your hips. Put your hands on the top of your hips. Is one higher than the other? Is your pelvis tilted forward? Just be aware of this. There's tons of people teaching this stuff out there, but I do have some of my favorite practices I'd be happy to share if you're interested in this. Just testing out the waters with this to see if this is actually resonating with people. Maybe you don't give a shit about the pelvis, and I'm way off track here, but if you are interested in exercises that will help you to bring more awareness into your pelvic region and to activate your muscles in the right way, before my Qigong and Tai Chi practice, I do a simple set of just muscle activations, which helps to bring all the muscle tissue groups into harmony so they function properly. And if I'm feeling any discomfort in my knee, in my pelvis, in my lower back region, I do these muscle activations. It just takes a couple minutes and I experience a dramatic beneficial effect from them. So let me know if you want me to make a video on some of these pelvic balancing exercises. I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments below if you're interested. Okay guys, so basically love your pelvis, bring more awareness into it, touch it, massage it, feel it. See how much throughout the day you can bring your consciousness into it and breathe from it. As you're interacting with people, hold your awareness down in your pelvis and just notice what that starts to bring up for you. I guarantee you feel more creative, more sensual, more grounded, more connected to the world and to yourself. And this also has the effect of bringing more blood flow, more circulation into the genital regions, which means for men, better erections, higher libido, better hormonal health as well. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to support the channel, give this video a like, and have a great day.